I just fell on my ass. Whew. My hands are freezing. My hands are freezing, man. I'm an idiot. That, just running into that and bouncing down into it, you're unsure. It's like you don't know what's going to happen, right? So look at this. I got my nick here, and look at this. This is funny. This is like a. It's like an area for get-togethers and dancing. It's like dancing. And look at this. They got XLR contacts left and right, buttons all over the place here, so that you can pair with that blue button, so you can pair your phone and you can charge it. Damn, son. Damn. And this is the ghetto. This is the ghetto, man. This is Rågsved. We got fire trucks over there because someone's been burning their falafel. I don't know what's going on, man. Why would you need fire trucks on a rainy day? So I'm riding the Nick, and the tire that I have on the Nick is the Dalician CX321. This is the first batch 16X tire with stiff sidewalls. So if you can imagine tramlining with a wheel, that's the wheel for you. It will tramline on everything. It will fall into every crack. It will follow every crack. So if you're riding here and there's a crack here, you're going here. You get shifted. You get shifted. But it's in soft mode. So if you get shifted softly. So what is the Nikola? And how do I ride it? Oh, that speaker though. That speaker. The Nikola is a high-speed wheel. It's a 1900 watt motor, not even a 2000 watt motor. And it's got small magnets. It's got small magnets, man. It's got small magnets, and it's a low torque wheel, right? It's easy to apply torque to it, but it's a low torque wheel, which means that you can overlean it. And you can really overlean it in the soft mode. In the soft mode, it's very, very easy to skip through magnets. So I have had riders riding on a 20-degree incline, and these guys have weighed a little over 200 pounds, and the wheel dips. The pedals dip through the magnets, and they fall off the front. They just fall off the front like a sack of potatoes. I have done that on the soft mode, and I maybe skip through 2 magnets, and I hear it like grunt through those magnets, right? Because we have power hitting those magnets, right? And if you're riding very slow and the power is not enough, then you're not going to be able to suck and hold onto those magnets. And you just crank and dip and lean through it. The soft mode will give you some more leverage because as you are accelerating in the soft mode, the pedals will tilt forward, making it easier for you to position your body, making you end up in a more forward stance. As you brake, they will slowly go backwards, making it easier for you to brake, right? Not the opposite, not the opposite. So what happens when you're riding then? When you're riding and you do an acceleration, then the pedals will tilt forward, and as you stop accelerating, they will go back to level. What happens when you hit a bump? Well, when you hit a bump, since it's in the soft mode and it is allowing the pedals to yield, what will happen is that the pedals will yield and you will flow through the bump. What happens if it's a really, really big pothole? Well, you will flow through the bump as much as you can. But what happens if you apply a lot of torque to the front of the wheel on the soft mode because you hit a bump? Then you're back to pushing through the magnets and overleaning the wheel. So for me, if you're going to ride the Nikola in a high torque configuration with stiff front pads for your legs, then you can't do it on the soft mode. So how do I ride my Nikola? I ride it in a low torque configuration. Phone call. Yeah, so that was Daniel. That was Daniel on the phone. Right? He rides a Cali NYC XL50. XL50. You know what config that is? That's 12S 12P. 12S 12P. What's 12S? That's 12 in series times 4.2. What's this Nikola? It's 24 in series. That's why it's a 100 volt wheel, 100.8. Right? So the Cali is a 15.4 volt board. And does over 70 kilometers an hour. Now let's go to hell here. Right? That's a low torque config. You're going down, you're going up. You're going down, you're going up. This is a heavy wheel. Encouragement. Right? So, what happens when I start falling off these pedals, right? Let's see what happens first. I lean forward. The wheel shifts forward, and then it starts to accelerate. In a high torque config, you lean forward and it will accelerate immediately. Right? But you would need to lean forward more, and it will cost you more dorsiflexion. You can have pads that you can press against, you can have a foot lock that you can press against, you can have karambits that you can lift against, and so on. All of these are points of leverage. Right? This and the same, there's a delay. There is a delay where I get shifted back. So Daniel is riding his Sherman on the soft mode, and he recently switched to the medium mode, right? Because he felt the delay. He likes a bit more of the, you know, the instant torque. The instant torque. I like the low torque, flowy config because the Nikola is a wheel that I like to dance on. Right? I like to dance on it. So I'm a bit more jittery on the MSX. And the EXN soft mode is different because it has a quick response. It has a quick response in how it yields. It goes back to neutral very quickly. While this one goes here and here and here and here. And when you do this, forward and turn, you're forward. You're leaning forward into the turn. You're dipping forward into the turn. You're dipping forward into the turn. It makes the turn easier. So if it makes the turn easier because you're falling diagonally into a turn, you can do it with your hips. You can do it with your shoulder. And you don't have to get the wheel and do this on it. It will just flow. It will flow. You can go from foot to foot. You can go from foot to foot instead of being on the body all the time. But you can't climb up a hill, because if you try to climb up a hill, you will hit bumps in sequence, and eventually you will skip magnets, because you have leverage to skip through magnets. You don't have leverage to skip through magnets on the hard mode. Wow, phone again, really? Really? Oh yeah, fun times. Fun times. Discussing the return process at Lazyrolling. Discussing the return and exchange process. So, the jumping blocks. What are the jumping blocks for in a configuration like this? Well, my foot can't go any more forward. So if I can't go any more forward, then I can't slide off the front of the wheel, right? And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Can I jump the wheel, though? Can I jump the wheel with the toe lock? Well, let's look at another acceleration mechanism here. Getting up on my heel. If I get up on my heel, then I'm shifting weight to the balls of my feet. If I'm shifting weight to the balls of my feet, I'm shifting weight in front of the wheel. But standing on your toes is a precarious position. Big words, huh? And I want a lot of spelling bees. So you stand on your toes. What happens if you stand on both toes? Stand on both toes. Oh, I hit a stick. I'm standing on both toes. That's nasty. That's nasty. Standing on both toes. You can stand on one. That's why we do the staggered stance. Look at you, Strike. Mr. Stagger a lot. Looks awesome. He's a baller looking rider, man. Baller looking rider. So when you're on your toe, you're putting weight on the ball of your feet. But then here you have this block that is stopping you from falling. So what happens is, as you're going more forward, you're applying pressure to the block. And you're applying pressure to the block, it's a leverage point. The block is a leverage point as well. So what happens when you hit a bump and you hit both blocks? Well, you won't hit them very aggressively because they're down low. If they're higher up, you would apply more fast torque. Down low, you would apply less torque. You're not applying tons of torque. It's a bad leverage point, but it's a leverage point nonetheless. It's a safety mechanism. So for jumping, what happens here? I brought it with me now, right? In some stupid donkey-looking jump. So I even lifted it. I actually applied pressure to the jump blocks to jump. But what happens if I strict jumped it? What the fucking surprise. I strict jumped it and it held the balls of my feet down, but not my heels. So my heels went up. I ended up on my toes and in the air. So the jump blocks aren't for strict jumping. The jump blocks are for keeping your feet, keeping the balls of your feet in place, keeping the balls of your feet down, right? You can still get the heel up. So if you can get the heel up, you can have them like super down low, you can have them a bit higher up. Don't have to be totally locked in at the balls of your feet, right? You don't want to fall off the front. You can fall off the front, you know. You'll have to work for it. But it keeps your feet pretty much where they need to be. Pretty much. Not entirely. Because it's not a full locked-in config. But it's a great, great low torque config. They're just moving. Just moving. Just like get in. And with the frank pads, the high friction frank pads. Right. Look, I can ride stagger. Look at that. So flowy. What a flowy config. Right? Everything doesn't have to be a hard plastic config where you're smacking into stuff. This is the world that I come from. The world that I come from is the flowy config. Look at the riders like Tishan, right? They love the old Gotway soft, right? The feeling of flowing, right? The feeling of flowing and dancing. You're not going to do much tricking on these configs, you know. What am I going to do? Am I going to do a 180? Am I going to do a 180 on this and fuck up my neck? On my slow config. I just fell on my ass. I just fell on my ass. Just for you. Just for you. I mean, come on. Why? Why? You know? I just fell on my ass. That's great. And those kids laughed. Oh man. I just wanted to explain to those kids that I'm not retarded, you know. I said, I usually used to do this with my other wheel, and they're like, oh, you good, you good. And it turns out they don't speak Swedish because I'm in the ghetto. But yeah. Ah, jump block. Jump block. Jump block. How about if I lock it down a bit more? I know that I slid on the tire and so on because I landed sideways, because you don't have the thing about doing the 180s and the rotation is that it helps to have some lip in the front so they can apply sideways force, right? Man. I'm so ashamed. But I'm so happy for you guys. I am so happy for you guys that you got to see that fall. It was amazing, man. It was amazing. It was amazing. There, fellas. Do I need more air? Do I need more rotation? You know, it's again. We're eating soup with a fork, right? You can take the wheel with you a tiny bit. You can't just crazy lift it up, right? You have to move together, but you can't force it to move. And somebody out here in this ghetto wrote why. And you'll see why. Common sense is not common. Wow. We can learn a lot from the ghetto. So my MSX. I do a lot of jerky on the MSX on the hard mode with the stiff configuration. So there was very little chance of me pressing through magnets, but I can press through magnets. On the soft mode, I imagine there was a larger chance of me pressing through magnets. On the medium mode on the Nikola, ask Simon. Tobe comes along with his Nikola, an 1845, so that's a 24S 6P config. So the 6P config can pull more amps, right? And Simon gets it, he rides it on the medium mode, he does his donkey braking, and he overleans the wheel backwards and lands on his ass, and Tobe's wheel goes tumbling. Guys, if you're gonna borrow a friend's wheel and say, can I try your wheel? Don't go and smack it the first thing that you do. What do you want to do with it? You want to see how the wheel feels? Go and see how the wheel feels, man, but come on. Show some damn respect, man. I've had riders ask if they can try out my wheel, and then 5 seconds later they're doing one-legged riding on it. Damn, what the hell are you buying an electric unicycle for? Go ride one-legged on your wheel, man. Is that why you wanted to try my wheel? To see if you can go donkey one-leg ride on it? And twist the motor assembly against the shell or whatever? Screw that, man. Show some respect, damn it. How about the EXN? The EXN will press through magnets. It will press through magnets. Ask Micke. It will press through magnets. Chooch says no, Micke says yes. Micke is right. It will press through magnets. What doesn't press through magnets? A C38. A C38. Because magnets, bro. How do magnets even work? I'll tell you how they work. The bigger they are, the stronger they are. The end. That's how magnets work. Also, when I lent this wheel to Daniel, we put so much air in this tire, man. So it like tram lines like hell. But that means that I can do this stupid unnecessary jump on it, which it is not meant for. Right? It's not meant for it. That's all. That's all. Can I 180 twist it here? I can, you know. But I won't say that was a, can I like ride and then, I can't on the soft mode because of the latency and the shifting. Possibly on the medium and the hard mode, and then I'd have to change my config. Oh, I can try not sucking. Good. Yeah, look at that. Good, then I can do stupid stuff on my soft mode without overtorquing the wheel and so on and so on. Jeez, that's a lot of messages, man. Who's messaging me? Why you have to be mad? Why you have to be mad? It's only a message. Oh, can't unlock, wet fingers, iPhone. Yeah. Rainy days, man. Rainy days. You know what's good about rainy days? It's like a post-apocalyptic future. You get everything for yourself, except for those kids that manage to pass by just as you fall on your ass. But look at this. Isn't life great? Isn't life great? You can do that without pads, right? You just can't bring the wheel the extra height that I did there, the extra height. But you got to make sure that you don't just pull and end up on the balls of your feet in the air, because it's a long way down then, fellas. Right? And now with this extra pump tire, I can smack it and not worry about busting my rim, which I already did falling. Times are great. So you know, the torques, the application of torque, the torque at low speed, the torque at medium speed, the torque at high speed, and people asking, which wheel should I get? I want a wheel that has a lot of torque. Good luck applying it. Good luck applying it. If you want a wheel that has a lot of torque, get an M103 that has a lot of torque. Doesn't have a lot of torque. You're just spinning a small frisbee from the outside. You're spinning a small frisbee. Get a bigger frisbee, it's going to be harder to spin. Get a bigger frisbee, it's going to get harder to spin. And then you have assist. You have leverage assist, like Gotway, and you have firmware assist, like Kingsong and InMotion. Then you have a sort of squishiness to some pedal modes. If you look at the Kingsong 16X, for instance, in firmware 1.05, the soft mode was squishy. It was squishy. So you could press through magnets on that. And you can press through magnets at 45 kilometers an hour also with hard, sudden flicking. Right? And then people are back to overleaning their stuff. You are less likely to overlean in a hard mode. Because you won't skip through magnets. But when it comes to overleaning because you run out of torque at high speed, then that is not related to skipping through magnets. So what happened to my friend Tobias? He was riding seated on his Lumonik. This is a one-rod Nick, but his Lumonik. He was getting at around 35, close to 40 miles an hour, seated, and he did a lead, right? He did an acceleration lead, and he pressed through the magnets and fell off the front. He wouldn't have been able to press through the magnets that way on the hard mode. That is all. Because he wouldn't have had the leverage to do so. Because the wheel would not have been leaning forward. Otherwise, as I am accelerating here, the wheel will lean forward. The wheel will lean forward. Doing a turn like that, like a tight turn like this, can be done nicely thanks to the soft mode and the forward leaning of the pedals, right? What some people would call pedal dipping. It pedal dips on turns. Here's what I say to that. You're welcome. You're welcome. It pedal dips on turns. You're welcome. You can now maintain speed on your turns. Would I jump this at a skate park with these blocks? Definitely. I would bring it with me. Would I donkey bring it with me? No. I would gently bring it with me. So what is this? It's a gentle config. Not everything has to be a high torque donkey config, man. We can actually enjoy the flow. The art of flowing. The art of soft configs. The art of flowy configs. Life is great. Life is great. Flow it. Flow it. Don't donkey press it up that slope there. It will tilt forward. You will press through magnets. Flow it. With soft pads. Seen a lot of riders pressing through the RS high torque or the MSP high torque. They're slow wheels. They're slow wheels. They're fast, right? They're just not safe at high speed because your buffer, your high speed buffer gets slower. But they're good at what they're good at. So the high torque wheels do have their place, man. They do have their place. Because with the high torque wheel, you can use a stiff config. You can use a stiff config and you can jump them to the moon, and you can jump them at a skate park, and you can press them up a steep hill. But the old school Gotway soft mode with the flowy config, that's something, man. That's something. Especially on the Nik, the lower pedals for good flow, and just a fun tire, man. Just a fun tire. Not everyone will be out and about jumping to 180s at a skate park anyway. Right? And I guess, if push came to shove, I'd try on the Nik. And then I'd be sad that I have the extra battery, because it's just extra weight to pull around. Right? But man, does that wheel dance. So wrapping up this clip, even worse. I looked at the tire pressure now, because I brought my pump and valve extender and meter. 20.5 psi, 21 psi. That's low, man. I will usually ride it at 24. Sometimes I have ridden it at 28 even. And I was dying riding it yesterday and today at 21. That EXN tire, man, it spoiled me. I gotta get back in the game. Man. I put it to 24.5, some air leaked out as I removed the extender. 24. Man. I'm ashamed. Because that tire is taking me everywhere. And I used to dance on this wheel, man. I used to dance on it, and now I'm afraid of it. Yesterday when I was riding to the dentist, I was afraid of it. I was thinking I should have brought my helmet. And then I'm like, why? Then I would accept falling. I don't accept falling. Sometimes you take a little steps back is all. But that sliding and falling over there, man, that really hit me. That really hit me in the soul. On the other hand, it's wet rubber. And we fellas, we know how wet rubber slides, don't we? Yeah! Okay. Oh yeah. Damn, I'm moist. Damn, I am moist now. So it was a joy to ride back. It looks like when the tire pressure was that low, that the center of the wheel was very soft, and since the sidewalls are relatively hard, it was just like extremely wobbly. Once I pumped it up and the center was harder, it felt a lot more predictable, and it was just a blast to ride. So even though it was raining like hell on my way back, I had a great time. It was great. Everything felt great, great, great. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Forget everything I said. Forget it.